Hello and welcome to everyone. Today our guest is MMA fighter Jose Perez, coming fresh of his CFFC win. Jose, congrats on the win. And how are you feeling considering that you just won the fight that you're
Feel
undefeated?
good. I feel great. Weather's not too great out here, but getting back to training now this week. Actually, gonna start back up after this session with you. I'm gonna head to the gym.
So no rest at all.
Well, there was a little 7 day break there, but no, getting back to it.
When did you start training MMA, and which was your first martial art?
I started just shy of my 10th birthday, and when I started, I did just like gi in the gi jiu-jitsu, and that's my base style.
So do you have the favorite submission and favorite submission switch considering that you're, we can say a BJJ guy?
Yeah. Favorite sweep, you said? So favorite submission and favorite sweep?
Favorite submission. Okay, you can say favorite submission switch, and favorite sweep. Okay, you can say all three.
Okay. Submission switch. What you mean submission switch? Like two submissions that go together?
Yeah, two submissions to go together. For example, armbar to omoplata or any combination.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, favorite submission by itself is rear naked choke, just because that kind of gives some context. You can catch like a guillotine if someone shoots in. You can get taken down and land in a triangle. You can catch those subs, but if you're on someone's back hitting a rear naked choke, that means you had to go through the positions to get to the back to get to that rear naked choke. So rear naked choke just because of context. Submission switch, arm bar to triangle, simple, sweet, and always works.
And sweep.
Sweep, favorite sweep is pendulum sweep
Yeah, that's
from the
pretty much.
bottom.
That's very much hard sweep. I think this is the hardest sweep I've ever seen. What do you think?
And I think it's aesthetically pleasing. I think it looks cool. So hitting that in an MMA fight will look cool. It'll turn some heads.
Yeah, but it's very hard to apply pendulum in an MMA fight unless you're a very skillful guy, right?
I heard it was pretty hard to hit the banana split in an MMA fight also.
Yeah, I know one of your victories. I've seen that. Can you elaborate your nickname?
I don't have a nickname, just Jose Perez. So super generic name. There's a lot of us, but my little side goal to, besides being an MMA champion, is to become the most famous Jose Perez. I want my name to be synonymous with me. So I'm going to try to steal all the shine from all the other Jose Perez's out there.
Yeah, but that's a generic nickname. But I mean, that's a good idea. Pretty much good idea. Who are your coaches and sparring partners?
My coaches is Dan Gilbert is the head coach over at G2. I also have a guy named Sean Talon. He's a boxing coach and he helps me out with some hands. He's not an official coach, but he's my personal wrestling coach. His name's Calvin Watkins. He helps me out with like personalized wrestling stuff, like takedowns tailor made for me and helping with me directly.
What can you say about your first MMA amateur fight?
First MMA amateur fight. First MMA amateur fight was a minute and 38 seconds into the first round. We went out, we blitzed each other really quick with some punches, and he went for a shot. I went for my guillotine, and he went to his back to try to like survive the guillotine. I got past his guard, side control mount. He gave up his back, and it was a submission by strike. So I just hit him, and he tapped out once it was too much.
Who was your hardest amateur opponent and why?
Hardest amateur. The amateurs weren't like extremely difficult, but if I had to pick one, Sam Gustafson. He was the last amateur fight. He went to the second round with me. It's 3 minute round, so it was like four and a half minutes into the fight. We went and I just couldn't get him out. I was punching him a lot. Those Indiana refs, they'll let you die in there dang there before they stop the fight. But he would he just took a lot of damage and he took a lot to get him out of there. He wouldn't quit and he wasn't going to tap out from the strikes. He just kept taking them and kept taking them and it took a while, but the ref finally did stop it. Also, I was supposed to fight at 155, but in the amateurs, there's no contracts. So I went to weigh-ins and my opponent just didn't show up at all. Couldn't get a hold of him. He just didn't show up. Rodney Roberts was his name or something like that. But regardless, so Sam Gustafson had blown weight for 170. He had a 170 fight and he came in at 174. So his opponent denied to fight him. He didn't want to fight him with that weight disadvantage. So they asked me if I would fight him, and I said yes. And basically what they did is they just put me back on the scale the next day after I had rehydrated. So I stepped foot on the scale at like 172 and he was 174. So it didn't sound crazy on paper anymore, but yeah, that was my hardest opponent. He was pretty strong too.
How did your first professional fight go? How did you feel heading into your first professional bout?
I had a layoff in between my amateur and pro, so there was a break. And then COVID came in and extended said break. So it's obviously there's going to be some change from the amateur leagues to the pro leagues as is, even if there was no layoff in between. But with the layoff in between, I also kind of had my nerves a little heightened. And my first one was for Cage Fury, which, like, if you've been to a Cage Fury event, it's definitely a step up from any regional leagues. It's really nice, really well ran. Lights are bright. Everything's all white. So definitely nerve-wracking. But as far as the actual fight, once we got going, it felt exactly the same. No problem at all.
What is the secret to your banana split?
Practice. That's the secret to everything. So it's not much of a secret, it's practice. But I take the back and I always use the same scorpion lock. That's that funky lock that I do on the one hip that kind of locks it out. So it just kind of ties in with how I take the back, because sometimes guys will hand it to me. And once I hit it the first time in the gym, it was like, oh, man, you hit a banana split once, it's like contagious. You're going to want to keep doing it. But practice, I just hit it a bunch of times in the gym before I ever attempted in a fight.
I've seen Twister like 10 times in MMA fight, but banana split, I've seen yours and I've seen one more, I think. I've seen
Jamel Jones. He fought on the same card. Well, he actually didn't fight. He was supposed to fight on the same card with me at Cage Fury 97.
I've only seen 2 banana splits in my whole life, so it's pretty much original submission and pretty much excellent, as much as I can say. How did you outwork Nicholas Muppin in your third fight?
How did it go against him? That one was my only fight. If you look at my whole record, amateur and pro, we're all first round finishes real fast. Nick Muppin was not a first round finish. I went into that fight super, super confident. I had just come off of Brandon Gator, a 2-minute finish, and then I took a short notice fight and I had gotten the banana split, and obviously everyone's sharing it and posting it. So I was feeling really very confident and almost too confident, almost cocky. I was sure I was going to walk through the guy, and Nick Muppin had other plans. He was going to make me work for it, and he did. He really made me work for it. So we didn't really stand up most of the fight. He was supposed to be a good jiu-jitsu guy also, so we kind of took the fight where we were both comfortable, and we were going to see who was better. And I was winning the positions, and I was going for all the submissions I could. I was throwing everything at him, and he would make the mistakes of letting me get the submissions, but once I got said submissions, he made no mistakes. I couldn't finish anything. I can't even tell you how many submissions I went for in that fight, but man, he would get himself into the mess, but he would do his due diligence once he was in there to make sure that he wasn't getting out of this fight. And he never gave up, no matter how many terrible positions he was in, no matter how much pressure, no matter how many submission attempts. He just kept coming at me. He was trying to throw strikes. I'd be in full-blown mount, and he's punching me in the face while he's on bottom. Oh man, it was a barn burner. It was a great fight, but definitely a testament and definitely something that it was a crucible, something I came out different from.
How hard it is for BJJ guy when the fight advances to round 2 or round 3 because the opponent becomes slippery?
Yes. So I think it depends on your style. So if you are a guy who's just going for like quick subs, it might work out in your favor. It might not. Because like you said, they're slippery, so they might just get out of everything you're going for. Me personally, I focus on position above submission. So yes, they're slippery, but my focus is going to be to get in a dominant position. And if I'm in that dominant position long enough, that submission will come. But I'm focusing on getting the position first and foremost. So being slippery doesn't really make too much of a difference because if I'm not getting my sub, I'm not going to bail on my position. I can just still land strikes. So jiu-jitsu is more effective if you're focusing on the position. So then you don't got to worry about anybody being slippery, you know?
What was the plan for your fight that you just won at CFFC
Jalen Reed.
97? Yes.
My plan was to go out there and keep it rangy, work my jab, throwing a couple crosses whenever he got too close. And he likes to come out really hard, really fast. So I wanted to have an intelligent stand-up fight. I didn't want to have a brawl. So I figured I would use my range to try to slow him down. I knew he was going to come out crazy, throwing a lot of left hands, which he did. And I figured it would slow him down, frustrate him a little bit, and eventually start to pick him apart on the feet. And the goal was to see if I could get him to make the fatal mistake of trying to take me down. I was going to try to frustrate him on the feet, get him to shoot his shot, and make him pay for it on the ground. We did go to the ground. It wasn't the way I would have liked to, but aside from that, it worked basically how we thought it would.
How does one day in your life look like?
It depends. So I tell everybody this stuff is action-packed when it's action-packed. So I'll have people calling me every day like, oh, what are you up to? I just want to, talk to you. And I have nothing to say because my normal day-to-day life is gym and I go to work, then I go to the gym. I come home from the gym, I'll hang out with my munchkins for a couple hours and, well, not even a couple hours. Usually when I get home from the gym, it's almost bedtime. So I'll hang out with them for about an hour, put them to bed, and then I brush my teeth and knock out also. So really boring when I'm training a lot. But like I said, my life is super boring aside from the fights. Those are the only times when I'm actually having like things going on and something to talk about. But aside from fighting, I'm pretty boring, and it's just a normal routine like everybody else. Go to work, go to the gym, play with the munchkins as much as you can, and repeat and repeat and repeat.
Do you have some specific plans for the future, or do you have somebody locked in your sights?
I'm not so much worried about anybody in particular. They did mention what's his name? My opponent. He was an opponent for one of my training partners. I don't know, jiu-jitsu guy. He's like 2-0. He's in Cage Fury. James Lyons, that's his name. James Lyons. And I wasn't forgetting his name to sound cool either. No, James Lyons. He's 2-0, good jiu-jitsu guy. They had mentioned him. I don't know if that's something he'd be interested in or if that was even something that the promotion is interested in because the commentator had mentioned it, but no one else did. So if they want that to be the next fight, then I'm happy to do it. But no, I'm not really picking anyone in particular. The goal is to get Cage Fury Gold, get that wrapped around my waist, and try to get to the UFC and just see exactly how far I can take it in the sport. But if I had to single out one goal to give you something tangible, I want to be 7-0 by the end of this year. That's the goal. I want to stay active and try to be 7-0. So I don't know how it's going to work out with when the cards are coming in and timing timing wise, but I want to be 7-0. That's the real goal. So I mean, fingers crossed that everything lines up as far as like timing goes and I can get those fights in, but I kind of got to play to the mercy of when the promotions are actually putting on the shows.
Would you like to add something to the interview? Is there something you missed to say? Would you like to give a shout out to somebody?
I'm always going to shout out my teammates if that's an option. So teammate Isaac Watkins, he's busting his butt with me tonight. Bo Samanego, he's going to be busting his butt with me tonight. My personal wrestling coach, Calvin Watkins, he'll be busting his butt with me tonight. Dan Gilbert, the head coach, and my family. That's one thing that I haven't been shouting out that I definitely should. I got an awesome support system at home. I got a great girl and two awesome, beautiful little girls that give me motivation to get my butt in the gym and try to make this dream happen. But yeah, I guess that's the only ones that I've been missing is I should have shouted my family out a lot more. They keep my head on straight.
Thank you so much for the interview. I will.
No problem. Thank you, Vlad.
Yeah. Thank you too. I will upload it tomorrow. I will send you when it's uploaded.
Awesome. I'll be looking for it. I appreciate it a lot.
All right. Thank you so much, Jose. Have a great day.